All right, President Trump keeping the focus on Baltimore tonight. He's not backing down from calling the city a, quote, disgusting, rat and rodent-infested mess. And he's now calling out other big Democratic-controlled cities for lousy politicians and lousy policies, too. Watch.
I'm pointing out the tremendous corruption that's taken place in Baltimore and other Democratic-run cities. All you have to do is look at the past mayors in Baltimore, see what happened. Have received more phone calls than I think on any other subject of people from Baltimore and other cities corruptly run by Democrats thanking me for getting involved. Those people are living in hell in Baltimore.
Does the president have a point? You got to see this, because one Fox reporter actually found out today firsthand. Take a look at this. A rat actually ran through her live shot in Baltimore as she was covering the whole story about the president's comments in Baltimore. So there you go. Joining me right now, former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. How's that for timing, Sean?
That's good TV, isn't it?
I would say, right during the live shot. But anyway, you know, the president is kind of going where I think very few Republicans have gone before, in a way that they've been sort of afraid, right, to call out the elephant in the room, so to speak, which is that the Democrats' policies in so many of these poorer communities have really failed, really failed these populations.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it before, but the president pointed out that it's not just Baltimore, that most of these major cities, whether it's Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Boston, have been run largely by Democratic Party operatives going back decades, and yet they continue to have problems with job creation, business development, education, healthcare delivery, crime.
So why is that? Because they try and throw a lot of money at it, right, Sean? It's just the answer is always, you know, open the checkbook, more money. So why aren't they fixing these places?
Well, because, I mean, I think part of it is that once you fix the problem, you can't. I mean, this is a self-licking ice cream cone. For a lot of these Democrats, they need people to rely on government, to perpetuate more government, to ask for more money, and then they control more power. I mean, this is all about whether or not government grows or shrinks. And the more that people are dependent on government, the more that they continue to have a stranglehold on the politics of that particular area. I do think, however, that we need to sort of draw that contrast. It's bad enough just to point it out, but I think we need to offer a different reality for people. We need to offer them a way out and to say, hey, we as the Republican Party can do this. You look at the president's tax cuts and the economy. He's lifting up all segments of the economy, whether you're black, brown, white, red, yellow, you name it, whatever color are you, gender, whatever you are, veterans, all segments of this economy have been lifted through the president's policies. And I think what we need to do is, if we're going to open this discussion up about inner cities and what's going on with Democrats running them, I think we need to go in as Republicans and conservatives and offer a better alternative to that. Say, here's what our healthcare delivery system would look like. Here are our attempts to bring more jobs, better paying jobs into the city. Here's how we're going to.
Yeah, I want you to see this. How about a little safety? Because we're looking at the murder rates across America right now. Top 5 murder rates, top 5 cities, and, you know, led by Baltimore there. Hey, by the way, just a little factoid. I don't know if this is still the case, but the last time I was down reporting from Colombia, from Bogota, Colombia, as well as Medellin, Colombia, their claim to fame was that their murder rate was less than Baltimore. But perhaps that's not hard to do.
I worked on the trade deal with Colombia, and one of the things that was really interesting is that at the time, Democrats in Congress talked about how, you know, how the FARC and other groups had made Colombia so dangerous. And you're absolutely right. The city of Medellin would point out that, in fact, they have done so much to reform their city that their crime rate was much lower than the city of Baltimore. And it was funny because it was the very Democrats that were holding up Medellin and other cities and talking about how unsafe Colombia was, and we needed to do more to help address that issue before they would support the trade deal. And it wasn't, they never wanted to look in their own backyard when it came to those deals.
You said the self-licking ice cream cone. I mean, it's an interesting way of phrasing it, but I think part of the problem here is, as you said, once you fix the problem, then as a leader, you're maybe no longer needed in quite the same way. And so the idea is what? You just keep everyone just sort of happy enough, barely getting along, and you just keep telling them they're victims, and it's not their fault, it's government's fault, it's you know, everybody else's fault because nobody's willing to write a check big enough.
Yeah, I mean, look at these school districts. They don't want to talk about reforms. Every time when you talk about conservative ideas, whether it's charter school, school choice, getting kids out of bad schools, making sure that we put parents in charge and not teachers' unions, it's the Democrats who are at the front of the line saying no, 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 no. And yet we're defending these policies that fail children. We defend policies that don't keep our streets safe. And it's amazing to me. They go after police. They talk about they've really come out against the men and women who defend our streets. I mean, I saw a clip the other day on Fox where there was people going after and throwing water at police officers. That should be called out. We should be respecting these individuals who are protecting our street, and yet Democrats are nowhere to be found.
No, in fact, they're singing a very different tune, because you get the second Democratic debate, right, which is underway as we speak now, Sean. And, you know, I suppose we're going to hear a lot more of, you know, it's their fault. It's Trump's fault. It's white Americans' fault. It's a white, you know, white men, right, that are the problem in America, and they're not doing enough to support everyone else. I mean, it just seems to be a consistent theme, along with, you know, calling Trump a racist and anyone who supports him a racist.
Well, they don't have much to go on. The economy's doing well. More people their wages are up. They're going back to work. And a lot of Americans are benefiting in a way that they probably haven't in decades. The Democrats don't have a policy area to go to, so all they're going to do is try to go after Trump, the person. But most Americans understand that they're doing better than they were a few years ago, and that the president's policies are working. The country's moving in the right direction.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later, because, you know, women apparently really are not comfortable with him, some of his rhetoric. But the question is, does that translate into them not voting for him? Because I think that, you know, bottom line, Americans are pretty simple, right? We're very results oriented. And if the economy is doing better, and if you're safe, then doesn't that take on a special significance? Are people willing to maybe look the other way on some of the tweets that they don't like?
Yeah, I think you put your finger on something really important. One of the things that people too often look at is statistics. The economy, crime, and safety and other things are gut feelings. You either feel safe in your neighborhood, in your community, or you don't. You either feel that the economy is moving in the right direction, you're spending more money, you're putting a little away, you're taking the family on a vacation, or you're not. And people can throw statistics at you all day. Back in 1992, the economy was recovering really well, and as you recall, George Bush was telling people, hey, it's getting better. But they hadn't felt it yet, and Bill Clinton came in and talked about the economy's stupid. So it wasn't about the statistics. It was about a gut feeling that people had. And right now, I think the majority of Americans feel as though the country's moving in the right direction on a variety of areas. And that's going to be tough to overcome. And that's why you see the name calling and the personalization of it, because Democrats really can't run against the tide in which people are feeling better about where the country's headed.
Yeah. I hear you. And that's their tactic. That's what they're sticking to. I don't think it's going to get them very far, but I guess they got nothing else.
Well, I think, you know, and it'll be interesting how far left they go. At some point, this is going to get messy, I think. There was a last debate, people saw how Kamala Harris really effectively went after Biden, whether it was right or wrong, whether it was true or not. It was effective. She got a bump up. He went down. I think the next two nights are going to be people really trying to figure out, because here's the thing, Trish. If you don't get a bump after this time, the stakes go up. You need 2% and 130,000 donors to your campaign, or you don't make the September debate on ABC. You've got 8 candidates right now that seemingly qualify. That's it. So everyone else is going to be doing what they can over the next 2 nights to get that bump and that moment that they to try to propel themselves forward.
So they're going for the jugular. They're going full-on socialist. I think we'll watch it in clips a little later in this show. We'll bring you some highlights. Sean Spicer, thank you so much.